Just reading this study here. It says from Harvard that if you've got a close friend that is obese, you've got a 57% chance of being obese, right? And if you've got a sibling who's obese, you've got a 40% chance. And if your spouse is obese, you've got a 37% chance of being obese, right? So if your best friend, if your sibling and your spouse is obese, effectively you've got an additional 40 to 60% chance of being overweight or obese, right? And they're talking about in the study that obesity is contagious. And I was thinking about this from the perspective of proximity is power, right? Because when you think about it, you are the average of the people you hang around. So if you're hanging around with people that are overweight and obese, well, you are naturally picking up on those behaviors. It's harder for you to get into shape. But also you've got, it's a double-edged sword, because also you're eating unhealthy food because that's what they're eating, but you're also not moving your body, right? Because they're not going to the gym, they're not doing anything. And so you've got a negative influence to do the things that are making you worse. You've also got no positive influences to do the things that would make you better. And so it becomes a spiral where you just keep getting more and more unhealthy and more unfit. And more importantly, it's justified because the people hanging around you are not doing fuck all to make themselves better. Everyone's getting fatter. And so it's like, well, you're sort of like one of us, right? Like one of us. So, it's not that actually obesity is contagious. It's just that the patterns of behavior that lead to obesity can be contagious. In the same way that health and fitness isn't contagious, but if you start hanging around with people that are just jacked, that are eating well and moving their bodies and, not coming up with some bullshit excuses, genetically it's like that. If you instead focused on those people, well, then you'd naturally find yourself picking up on those things anyway. And from a neurological perspective, the reason why that happens is a thing called mirror neurons, right? So in our brain, when we start having a conversation, we speak very similarly anyway. But if you were a really slow talker and I was a fast talker, then what would happen is subconsciously, because there's a desire for us to fit in with our surrounding environment from a safety perspective, if we amalgamate to the tribe that we're in, we've got a higher chance of us being accepted by that tribe. So I'll start to slow down, you would start to speed up to be able to better mirror each other. That happens biologically without conscious thought. It's just something that happens inside of our brain when we're building rapport. And so that safety mechanism means that you start to model the behaviors of people around you subconsciously as a way of fitting in to their sort of, their standards or their status quo effectively. And so one of the things that is a tremendous shortcut for people that want to achieve success is just simply put yourself in proximity with people that are living the life you want to live. Because if you start living that life, just by osmosis, you're going to pick up some stuff that's going to allow you to go to that next level. And also, if you don't have people in your corner right now that are like, oh, fuck, how do I, produce great media, right? You're not hanging around with anyone that's doing that. Well, then just stop hanging out with people that are wasting their life. Because alternatively, you're actually creating a net benefit for you because you're no longer going down the wrong path. Like you're heading in a direction either way. So if you can hang around with people that are blowing up, awesome. But if you can't, just make sure you're not hanging around with people that are breaking down, because alternatively, you're going to get pulled like a gravitational pull. It's going to pull you in that direction. And that has a huge impact, right? Because as we said, proximity is power. If you audit your people around you, how many people are living the life that I want to live, are doing the things that I want to do, are playing a bigger game than me? When I leave them, I feel uplifted and inspired and confident, as opposed to how many people in my life are not living the life that I want to live, are not even living their own version of their best life, wouldn't know what the best version of their life was if I asked them. Well, fuck, less time with those people. And even if that means that you spend more time doing nothing with nobody, that's better, because it creates the space to then create the abundance of who do you want to have. There's a great book, I think I've got it somewhere on the bookshelf, I think. Good to Great by Jim Collins. It's buried in there somewhere. But he talks about the idea of get the right people in the bus and get them sitting in the right seats, like from a business perspective. And I've always thought about this in the context of like a physical bus, right? Like imagine you're driving a bus and you've got all your mates on the bus with you, right? You pull up a stop and you've got a mentor, an advisor, a new best friend, someone that you want to invite into your inner circle. That person gets on the bus. The first thing that they do is they greet the bus driver and then they scan the bus, right? Like they go, where am I going to sit? And if they scan the bus, it's like, fuck, I don't belong on this bus of these people. They're getting off the bus. And so there's a real importance of auditing the people that are currently on the bus with you, because if they're not the right people on the bus, they're going to have a negative impact on the next person you try to bring into the bus. And so it's better to have an empty bus than it is to have a bus full of people that are actually not energetically a match for the place that you're going. I don't think people fully get that bit enough. Like sometimes it's not about adding more in, it's maybe just about getting rid of some stuff that's not serving or supporting you at the highest level, right? Like that makes probably sometimes the biggest difference in the short term, while you're creating the opportunity or the infrastructure or the network or the connections to allow you to play at a bigger level.